What up, y'all? It's your boy. This is Galvin coming at you guys with episode 28. There will be no interruptions this time. This will be a whole part, so you won't have two split videos. But anyway, if y'all was with me last time we left off, we were talking about pretty much, the conclusion to, me and Lexi's date. And, Mia had called telling me that her boyfriend at the time is in love with her. So we're going to pick up from there because that's crazy. So anyway, how this starts off essentially is... Well, let me break down something how that made me feel when I heard that. Like I said, as I told you guys before, I was pretty angry about that. But that wasn't really what it came down to. I was angry because I was just like, this is really messing up a good move. But in reality, I was very surprised at the same time. So when she said that, I kind of, just sat there a little stunned for a minute. And I was kind of like, all right, so what I asked her right after that is like, I didn't ask her anything. I told her, I made a statement. And what I said was, I was like, well, that makes sense. We dated for mad long. We were together for mad long. It would make sense that, feelings would still be there. I took the more along the route of the, how can I put it? Like accepting what I did, When she said that, I was kind of like, well, of course you'd feel like that. I took away your choice. You didn't have a choice. It isn't like she wanted to necessarily break up with me. I didn't really give her that option, I didn't give her the choice to, I took that away. When I did what I did, I essentially took away the choice of letting her, be with me, et cetera, et cetera. So I told her that, and she was just looking at me like, yeah, I understand, but, it is something that I think about often. So essentially what she was telling me is that, I may be with this guy, but I want you to know I still have feelings for you. Now, me at the time, you guys got to kind of understand, after all the time of everything that happened, I didn't realize that there was still something there on her end, because she made it seem like there just wasn't anything there. So I was kind of at a loss for words with that. I was just like, wow, that's crazy. What I told her to that, like I said, I felt that, and I kind of felt like it was just a temporary thing. Like, maybe she just tell me that now because I don't know. Maybe she really does miss me. Like I said, I really didn't realize, I didn't know at the time. And I was way too happy about the prospect of what Lexi could have been. So I was just kind of like, nah. And what I told her was, I was like, I told her what I told her, like, it's just because we've been together for a long time you feel like that. I'm like, eventually you probably won't even feel like that. So, I don't know what to tell you. She was expecting something from me like, oh, let's get back together type something, but I wasn't trying to be doing that. I would have loved to get back with her, but I also felt like from all the times that we did talk after the breakup, I felt like no matter what I did at that particular point, it was over. So no matter if I tried to get back with her then, or if I would have waited 2 weeks, nothing would have changed the fact that even if we were around each other and we started talking again, she would eventually get pissed off about what I did, because it's still going to be lingering there. You may have residual feelings of, oh, I still feel this way about you, but in reality, it's only temporary, more than likely, because what's going to happen is, let's just say we did get back together at that point, right? Let's just say I got back with her right then and there. What would have happened was we'd have been all right maybe for the first 2 days, and then after that, something would have came up, whether it was a TV show or a friend, or anything that brought up the idea of cheating or someone being deceitful, and would instantly get her thinking, get her feeling like shit, and then get mad all over again. Not something I wanted to deal with. I already knew that the damage was done. The only thing that can really heal things like that is time, and half the time, you don't get another chance to try to do that again, or try to hurt somebody again, because usually they don't give you that chance. But if they do, usually only time can heal that wound. Right after she had done telling me, blah, 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 I feel blah, 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 my heart felt a certain way about that. Like, I really, really, really wanted to believe that it was possible that we may be able to work it out right then. I always felt it would be later. So I was just kind of like, wow. But then I realized, no. Because with me, at that point, after the whole thing that happened, I was one of those one person emotional people. So if I'm going to be in the one person, then I'm only into that person. So I was just like, nah. And the next thing I did was I brought up Lexi. There's another reason I did this. I was actually feeling kind of spiteful as well. I was like, well, considering that this is a prime opportunity for me to get back at her. I was going through so many emotions. This is a prime opportunity for me to get back at her for that whole thing with Justin and Toogie, and her telling them not to tell me that she had some dude driving her car type stuff. I was like, yeah, let me do that. So I was like, yeah, well, I can kind of relate to that. But this is what I told her. I was like, yeah, I can kind of relate to what you're saying. I mean, I get where you're coming from. I mean, I don't have that issue right now. The person I'm talking to isn't telling me, they love me or anything. She's like, you're talking to somebody? I'm like, I didn't tell you. Why I didn't tell you? I was like, yeah, I didn't tell you. I was like, she's like, oh, well, what's she like? I'm like, she's nice. I'm like, she got it. I remember specifically saying she got it like 3 or 4 times. Like, she got it. Yeah, she got it. She got it. She's like, she got what? I'm like, it. Like, whatever it is. She's like, what is that? I'm like, pretty much, I don't know what it is, but she has it. Whatever it is. I'm like, she's pretty. She's intelligent. She does this. She does that. I wasn't going on too hard. I was just like, yeah, she's cool. Like, there's a lot of things I like about her. I'm like, there's mad things I like about her. And I was like, yeah. She's like, what's her name? I'm like, Lexi. She's like, oh. I was like, yeah. She's like, how long have you been talking to her? I'm like, you're asking a lot of questions. She's like, oh, well, I was just curious. I'm like, well, I don't recall asking you the same amount of questions when it came to your boyfriend. And I'm like, this girl isn't even my girlfriend. I'm like, this is just somebody I'm talking to. Like, and I'm not even, it's not even, I told her, I was like, it's not even anything like that. I don't know. I'm like, I don't know where the hell this is going to go, but it's just, I'm just talking to her, I'm like, and then I left off. I was like, yo, I'm just doing exactly what I should be doing, because there's no reason for me to be sitting around here, like, crying about something that I can't fucking change or fix. You can fix it. I'm like, I can't fix it. And I was just like, yeah, it is what it is. And I asked her right after that, I was like, do you still have my grandmother's chain that I gave you? And she's like, yeah, I still have it. I'm like, And I thought to myself, and I was like, I want it back. And she's like, what? I'm like, yeah, I want it back. She's like, what do you mean? Like, I'm like, I want it back. She's like, no, I can't. No, you can't have it back. And what she meant by that was, because I found out later on. Actually, let me just keep going in the order that it happened. She's like, oh, I want it back. I'm like, told her I want it back. She's like, oh, no. She pretty much said right after that. She's like, that's how I'm going to get back to you later on. And I'm like, later on? I'm like, so what are you saying? Like, what do you mean later on? Like, she's like, oh, well, after everything, I wanted to use that to, like, give it back to you later on to so I always have a way. I know you'll always come for it. And I'm like, you know what? I gotta go. Got off the phone literally immediately. And I was pretty mad. I was like, yo, is she fucking literally thinking about, like, doing whatever she wants to do and using that to get back with me whenever she wants? I was like, oh, hell no. And then after that, I just left that whole thing alone. I was like, I'm not even going to think about this shit. Hung up that phone, and I left that alone. Right after that, what ends up happening is I, go to work the next day, and I'm chilling at work, and I tell Toogie, because Toogie works with me, I'm telling him, like, yo, blah, 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 tell him about Lexi, and he's cool with that. He tells me, he's like, yeah, man, you should bring her around the homies. I'm like, I didn't think about that until that point. I was like, I wonder if I actually could. So I actually talked to Lexi later that day, and I was like, yo, when's the next time I can come see you? She's like, oh, you can come see me whenever. I'm like, I'm like, all right, I'm going to come up there tomorrow. She's like, all right, cool. At this point, I'm thinking to myself, all right, I can't wait to see how this second day goes. So I'm going to explain the second date to y'all. I get up there, I see her. Second date was a lot different than, like, the first. Like, we still wanted to go to that place, but there was no place open. And we didn't actually go. We went to, like, a bowling alley. And essentially, we went to the bowling alley, was chilling, and it was just a lot of cuddling and a lot of kissing here and there. We got much more comfortable with each other the second time around, and it was just really, like, really cool. And she told me specifically, and I'm gonna quote this, I've been thinking about it, and I really like you, blah, blah, blah. I think, I think that we'd be good for each other, but I have to figure out what I'm going to do with my boyfriend, because I told him that I don't want to be with him no more, and then what'd she say? She said she told him that she didn't want to be with him no more, and he did something. Within that 2 days, I remember I told you, I called her the day after I seen her, and I didn't see her till the next day. After the first night, I think she told him that she kissed somebody. That's what she did. She told him that she kissed somebody, and she told him that she didn't want to be with him no more. He countered that by getting her a ring. Like, he sent her a ring. Like, some ring. I don't know what it was. It was like some promise ring or something like that. and pretty much blocked. He was able to stop that whole thing from her from leaving him from happening. And I was just like, oh, that's crazy. So she told me, like, yeah, he got me this ring. I'm like, why aren't you wearing it? She's like, I don't want to wear it. It's just a principle. He never did anything like that before. I really think he may change. I'm not sure. I'm confused. And she was being real. She was telling me. I was just like, well, and here's where I kind of took the good guy route, so to speak. I was just kind of like, well, mind you, she told me this after the whole day that we had. So we was kissing and chilling all the whole day. And she told me this at the end. And I told her, I was like, you know what, you should make your decision about that. And once again, I didn't bash the dude. I'm like, you know, I felt like because of what I did to Mia, I wasn't going to try to force her to leave him, because I didn't want to be in those situations where I always feel, this is what I think. If you get with a girl that has a man, what makes you think that girl won't leave you for somebody else? That's always how I looked at it. And I was just like, yeah, I want her to make that choice on her own. I'm not going to make it for her. Long story short, I see her a couple days after that. Same thing, same type of chilling, same type of everything. Everything's all good. Everything's all, you know, there's mad bugs over here. Everything's all good and normal. And then at the very end, again, she tells me again at the end of that date, oh, well, I'm definitely gonna leave him for you, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, thinking to myself, like, nah, this ain't gonna happen. Like, I know how this shit works. Like, I'm not stupid. I know what's gonna happen. Anytime somebody tells you, this goes out to anybody that has a similar situation where you're dealing with somebody that's telling you they're going to leave you for somebody else. No, they're not. Actions and words are two different things. When someone's telling you they're going to do it, and they keep telling you they're going to do it, but they haven't done it, but they keep telling you they're going to do it, more than likely they're not going to do it, because they're just talking about it, ain't going to be about it. There's something I like to call comfortability. People have comfortability. And people get very, very set in their ways of dealing with certain people. So if you're dealing with a girl that's had a boyfriend, she's been with this guy since she was mad young, or maybe a year after the first time I met her. So she's been with him for like 3 years. People get very used to people. And it becomes normal to just deal with that person. So let's just say that, you know, she really was thinking about leaving that guy. She doesn't know what life is even like without him at all. So she could even think about, yeah, I'm going to leave him, but she doesn't know what life is going to be like when he's gone. And that scares people. They're scared of the unknown. So what she was looking at was like, yeah, I got feelings for you. You're here, but he's been there. I don't know what to do. And I'm not pushing. I'm not sitting there like, yo, you better leave him, because that can lead to some kind of situation where, all right, she leaves him, right? And then next thing you know, he does something spectacular or ridiculous, like comes out of nowhere, who knows, does something crazy. And the next thing you know, she's like, I don't know. I don't do that whole sharing thing, as I told you guys before. Long story short, to kind of skip over a lot of unnecessary things, I left it to her to make that decision. And I told her the very last night I seen her, I remember I was sitting in the car and I told her, I was like, yo, I don't want to make you like pick back and forth. Hold on, I think I got to sneeze, I think. Hold on. Yeah. Okay. All right, bless me. I told her in the car, I was like, yo, I don't want to make you choose. I don't want to go through that whole situation, and I'm still having like my remorse about the whole Mia situation still, because I'm like I said, it was just mad messed up situation. I didn't want to do any more gutterness to anybody, so I was just telling her like, yo, I'm gonna let you make your decision. When you figure it out, let me know. She's like, no, I'm definitely gonna get with you. I just don't know how I'm gonna break up with him. I'm like, look, yo, just whenever you get it down, whenever you figure out what you want to do, you let me know. And once you let me know, then we can do something. But in the meanwhile, I'm not going to like interfere in this whole situation. I'm just going to step back and I'm going to let you just live, all right? I'm like, yo, when you make a decision, whether it's tomorrow, whether it's an hour from now, once you do it, then holla, let me know. I'll be here. I will be here. That's what I told her. I will always be here. Just let me know. And I gave her one big ass hug. And I didn't give her an actual kiss the last time I seen her. And I was just like, yep, that was it. Long story short, at the end of that whole thing, I did not hear from her for like almost 2 or 3 weeks, and I'm just sitting sick. I'm like, yo, it's over. Like, I'm thinking to myself, like, damn, I let her go. I don't know what she did, but I assume that what she did was she stayed with him and tried to work it out, and that was it. I know she was going to end up going to college, so she was going to move, so I just looked at it like, well, it could have been nice, but it would have been short term, so whatever. That's how I looked at it. And that was the end of Lexi right there. Now, the one last part I want to touch on before I get into the next part of this whole thing is, as you guys know, my store is going to be closing down. The store I was working in was going to be closing down soon. as of right now, it's like, I think it's like somewhere near, I think it's in March or something like that. Regardless, pretty much the next part that happened is I sat and I sat and I sat. Oh, wait. Let's go back a little bit. We got to go back a little bit. Now, remember how I told you guys about that second date? No, the third date. There's something that happened in between the first date and the second date. No, the second date and the third date. So it was the first date, then a day, 2 days later, it was the second date. And I remember I told you guys I didn't see her for a couple weeks. I think I said something like that. Yeah, it was like a couple weeks. No, a week went by. It was like a week or so before I seen her the third time. There's something that happened in between that week. And I'm going to explain that. So what ends up happening is, after the second date that we had, and everything was mad good, then she told me that everything's gonna be okay, she's gonna, be with me, blah, blah, blah. That was after the second date. Now, when I got home from that second date, I went to sleep, I was good, I woke up, went to work, and I came back home from work, right? I got a text message from my father saying, I'm coming up to New York to take the plates off the car. And I'm like, this nigga's wildin'. That's what I said to myself. I was like, yeah, there's no way in hell he's really going to come from North Carolina. And it's only been like 2 or 3 months or something since he left. I'm like, there's no way he's going to come up here from North Carolina after leaving me here, after raping me for mad money, after getting me for insurance. There's no way possible he's actually going to come up here just to take my plates off my car. No way. I'm thinking to myself, there is no way. And he sent me another text. I sent him a text message like, I didn't send it. I sent something, but it wasn't a text message. I was like, yeah, okay. I was like, you're not taking my plates. That's what I said. I was like, you're not taking these plates. And he said something along the lines of, I'll be up there to get them, and I'm taking my plates. And my message in response to that was something along the lines of, after everything that you did, you're not taking these plates. I'm like, if you want to come up here, you can come up here all you want, but and I told him, I was like, straight up, I was like, you will not see these plates. I'm like, you're not taking these plates. And the first thing I thought of to myself was, the first thing that came to my mind wasn't, oh, he's going to take the plates on my car. It was, if this nigga takes the plates, I won't get to see Lexi. And after everything negative that was going on, the only positive I really had at that point was Lexi. So I was like, there's no way in hell this nigga's taking these plates. I got so defensive. I was like, nah, no way. So what ends up happening is, the last text message he said is something along the lines of, oh, I'll be there in a couple of days. And I'm like, nigga, yeah, all right, nigga. That's what I think I said. I said, yeah, all right, nigga, whatever. It was something like that. A couple days goes by. And I'm in my room. And I'm chilling. I woke up kind of early that day, too. And I'm in my room, and I'm like, I get this really uneasy feeling. And I'm like, like, what is this feeling I get? And I'm sitting there, and I'm just like, yo, I think it's him. Like, I just got this intuitive feeling like, yo, I think it's him. I think he's closing in on me. And I'm like, yo. And mind you, it's like 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, yo. I'm looking around. I'm like, yo, let me just go. Let me head outside. And let me just in case. This is what I was thinking to myself. And this is a true story. I was like, just in case, let me get outside and take my car and move it somewhere where he wouldn't see it. Because he knows where I live. But let me move it somewhere where he wouldn't see it. That's what I'm thinking to myself. Like, all right, where can I park my car that if he did drive around looking for it, he wouldn't find it, take the plates off? That's what I'm thinking. Mind you, this nigga lives in North Carolina. And I'm thinking this, 10 o'clock in the morning, I'm like, yeah, let me go do that right now. Because I just got this, I'm just hella uneasy. I run out the house, literally run out the house. I run out the house, I jump in the car, I'm looking around. I'm mad fucking paranoid. I pull out, I go to pull off, whoa, start speeding up. As soon as I get to the top of the hill, guess who I see coming? Oh, like I'm coming up the hill, right? And then I see him coming down this way. We'll pick up from there next video. It's your boy Aces Galvin. As always, it's my life story. I'll have the next video up probably today. Well, tomorrow, maybe Monday. Regardless, stay tuned because that next episode's nuts. nuts. Next episode, let me give you all a little heads up. Next episode, every animosity, every anger, every bit of pissed off emotions that I had, everything that I had towards this guy comes out. It's a huge encounter that I have with him. It's like the encounter of everything boiled up in my life towards this person coming out at once. I guess you could kind of say it's guilt and anger that I had with myself, and just issues I had with him, and the anger of getting screwed over for as long as I did. Pretty much I explode. I have an emotional explosion, and this is probably the only one I had in my entire life, and that happens next video, and I'm definitely going to go over that because I know a lot of you guys can relate to something similar. Alright, so it's your boy, this is Galvin. Stay tuned for the next episode, and I'll holler at y'all then. One.